We had water.
Just about at 7. We'll go in right at 7. Announcement before we go in to start the meeting. Posted on the city and school website. This and we're ready to go into the meeting, and we'll start off the meeting of Thursday, September 3rd, 2020, the 11th special meeting of the Lynn School Committee. As a preliminary matter, we will confirm attendance. Nan, would you please confirm that all members and those anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear us?
All are present. Want me to roll call?
Yes, roll call, please, Nan.
Ms. Cassianis?
Present.
Ms. Capello?
Present.
Mr. Ford?
Present.
Ms. Gately?
Present.
Mr. Mickelson?
Present.
Mr. Satterwhite?
Present.
Mayor McGee?
Present.
Okay.
And if you could just identify those others.
Okay, Dr. Keller? Ms. Rogerio? Ms. Powers?
Present. Present.
Attorney Myhouse?
Present.
Ms. Jules? Mary Jules?
Present.
Kevin McHugh?
Present.
And Mr. Hussey? We know he's here.
He's here. Great. Thank you, Nan. This is Mayor Tom McGee, and I'd like to say good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. This open meeting of the Lynn School Committee is being conducted remotely and consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement for the open meeting law to have all meetings in publicly accessible physical locations. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, is on the city website, and it allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Lynn School Department is convening by telephone conference, video conference via the Zoom platform, and a MediaCast live stream as posted on the city and the school's website. In addition, the meeting can be viewed on Comcast channels 3 and 22 and Verizon channels 37 and 38. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other people may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast can be captured by the recording. Now we will get ready to go into the first item on the agenda. But before we do, permit me to cover some ground rules, and we've talked about this at every meeting, so I'll go over them again. We want to do it so that we can have an effective, clear conduct of our business and to ensure that accurate meeting minutes are taken. As the chairman, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, question, or motions. And we'll hold until your name is called. Remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. And finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. With that, again, the 11th special meeting of the Lynn School Committee is ready to come to order. And first order of business, and I know Dawn has a flag that is available on the Zoom platform. I ask everyone to stand and help us salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first order of business tonight on the agenda is appointments. And I would ask Dr. Tutwiler to speak to that, please.
Glad to, Mayor. There's only one, and it is for the Executive Director of English Learner Education. I am positively thrilled to announce the appointment of Rania Caldwell to that position. Rania's name is not unfamiliar to folks in this city and in the school district. She's a Lynn native and has spent her entire career working in the Lynn Public Schools. But the position did undergo a change. It went from director to executive director, a move that this body approved, and I think for good reason. And it says a lot about how important we take the work of meeting the needs of English learners. It also says something about the scope of that position. And I would say, and anybody who knows her would agree, we've got the right person. Whether it's, her work speaks for itself, whether it's opening the dual language program, which will happen this fall at Harrington, elevating the seal of biliteracy in our district, which, we're among the top in the state in terms of the numbers of students who, take advantage of that opportunity. But I think more importantly, having worked pretty closely with her over the past 3 years, Rania's a mindset changer. She really pushes people to embrace the district's core value of inclusiveness. And I'm thrilled to announce this appointment. And I know she's on, but will not be speaking. But I just want to congratulate her formally, publicly.
Thank you, Dr. Tutwiler. Congratulations, Rania. Congratulations on your appointment. Next on the agenda is presentations, but I'm going to make a quick public service announcement before we get into that, because I know that a lot of people are either watching or on the Zoom, and I've spoken about it before because we're now running towards a deadline related to the census, the end of September, and how important it is for us, for our representation, for the dollars to the community. And so I would ask all the members of the committee, as well as anybody that's on this Zoom and as well as watching at home, if you have not responded to the census, please do so. And if you have done that, if you could continue to spread the word among family, friends, and on social media, the importance of the census to our community, that every person get counted. And it not only is important to our community, but to the Commonwealth of Mass in terms of our ability to get representation in Washington. It's a very important thing that we need to do. So I just want to continue to remind people. And if you haven't done it, please do so. And please help us spread the word to make, we're at 60% now. The state's average is 65%. We'd love to get that up much higher. And we have several weeks to get it done. It's about 10 minutes or less. And it is completely confidential. And it's an important thing that we all can do together. So thank you. And with that, I'll ask Dr. Tutwiler to make the presentation that's on the agenda. Dr. Tutwiler?
Yes, glad to, Mayor. At the end of our last meeting, I sort of gave the highlights of the superintendent's report, which included information about the work that we're planning to do around race and equity in the district in the coming year. And instead of providing the information in that superintendent's report in the space of the meeting, I suggested that a presentation happen in this meeting. And my goal here is to really give sort of a high-level overview. A resolution was adopted by the school committee on June 11th, and it did call for myself, the district administration, to give an update to the school committee in early August. It's not early August anymore, but we've come up with and put together something that we think is really substantive, and we're really excited about the work ahead. And so, first I'd say that I want to start by maybe underscoring that the title of the previous slide is a little bit of a misnomer. It said that we're responding. Prior to the resolution, we were already engaged in really serious work around race and equity, the vast majority of which came out of our strategic planning process. Yet and still in the 2018-2019 school year, we began building a framework for race and equity work in the district as part of a community of practice with other urban districts, Fort Worth, St. Louis, KIPP Atlanta, and others. This was both a professional development and strategic planning endeavor, but it was exclusively focused on race and equity work. As I shared at a school committee meeting many months before, the districts that were invited to participate in that community of practice were also given a $100,000 grant to bring to bear on whatever they plan to do in the realm of race and equity. We use the vast majority of our funds in two ways. One, to support the professional development for teachers at Harrington and launching the dual language program that I just spoke to a second ago, as we see that program as part and parcel of an equity initiative. And two, to support a year-long professional development experience for principals and directors, the focus of which was exclusively on developing an equity lens and looking at and understanding challenges, data, and experiences from a particular standpoint. One second here. And also understanding the role that race and equity plays in each one of those challenges. Fast forward to June of 2020. I fully support the resolution that the school committee adopted on June 11th. To be clear, this was a document driven by student voice, which I think adds an element of power, but also validity. Further, I appreciated the specific outcomes the resolution sought, and that it's the focus of those outcomes that I'm sharing today. To be clear, the deliverables in the resolution involve professional development for all staff related to anti-bias, anti-racism, and the development of inclusivity panels at all secondary schools. And by inclusivity panels, we mean a diverse group of stakeholders collaborating to identify areas in need of improvement related to race and equity and a plan to address them. Given that the genesis of the resolution was student voice, we really want students to be on the forefront of the change process. With the inclusivity panels at the secondary level, we are taking the strategy of youth participatory action research. In this approach, students and their inclusivity mentor will be coached in taking the lead to understanding the issues as they exist at their schools and play a significant role in addressing them. This will not only be a learning exercise as they are taught how to effectively research the problem, it will also be a change vehicle as they partner with educators in the building to address the identified issues. In this model, students will learn and lead the research design. They will be supported by mentors who guide them through each step of the youth participatory action research process. Both will be supported in guiding and guided by representatives from the Equity Imperative, our partners in this work. We plan to begin this work in early October. In partnership with Matthew Rodriguez, the Chicago-based facilitator who brilliantly led the Race and Equity Professional Development for the district's leadership last year, and also a member of that community of practice that I referenced in the outset of this presentation. We will provide a rich learning experience for all staff. This will be focused on professional development, designed to help our team understand where and how racism manifests itself in the processes of teaching and learning and in our schools. It is also designed to support staff in developing strategies to directly confront these issues. Given the immense amount of professional development happening actually right now in preparation to launch the year, this will begin in January. That said, there's a heavy emphasis on equity in the asset-based mindset work, which is part and parcel of the English learner education professional development, which actually begins next week. And then in closing, I just want to underscore that there's no way that we're envisioning the work that we plan to do this year or the work that we've done thus far as finite or complete. Work around race and equity is never complete. It must be consistently discussed, reflected upon, thought about, and evaluated. The intention here is to share what is for us neither the beginning nor the end, but definitely shape to the work on this important topic. I put this picture here on purpose. We've got a long road ahead on this work, but it's definitely taken shape for us. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Tutwiler. Questions from the committee? Member Castellanos, then Member Nicholson.
Thank you, Dr. Tutwiler, for that presentation. So I just have a couple of questions around, so when we look at trying to improve and retain racially and linguistically diverse staff, what has been our adjustment in terms of recruitment planning? Are there any grants available as well? Are we working on any grants to increase diversity in our staff pool? Also, what are the challenges right now due to, obviously we have HR is, you know, they're already, the history of just trying to diversify our staff has been there. So what adjustments have they made to work with this initiative to improve it?
Yeah, so to answer your first question around what work has been done and you know, have we taken advantage of any grant opportunities? The answer is yes. The state offered a diverse staffing grant last year that we were awarded. I believe it was in the amount of $150,000. And you know, with that grant, we really look inward. We've got a very talented and diverse paraprofessional corps, and we really wanted to work with the people who are already in the district who needed help getting over the hump of the MTEL, the licensing test. And so a big chunk of that work last year, even though it was, you know, interrupted by COVID, but a big chunk of that work was designed to, you know, prepare staff that we have in the district already, who were of color and simply needed support, you know, earning their license. These are folks who've already got a bachelor's degree, And so we did have that actually continued, even though we were not engaged in any in-person work in the spring. We were able to, engage in that professional development with a number of paraprofessionals and a number of staff that we have who aren't licensed. Then we also just applied for an extension of that, I think just last week. So, we had, as you might recall, big plans around the staff diversification piece. It was one of my goals to increase the racial diversity of the staff by 1%. We took, again, a big hit in that effort because we diverted almost all of our attention to essentially rebuilding the school district for this coming year. But we have not lost sight of it. And the case in point is the fact that we went after that grant. We intend to resume the work in full this coming year and look forward to reporting out on.
Thank you. And just
Brian, I think Deputy Superintendent Ruggiero has a follow-up on that, and then you can follow up as well, Brian.
Yeah, I just wanted to share, Rania wanted me to share that we also got a grant for linguistically diverse staff for the dual language program that also involves helping them pass the MTELs and provides professional development to get more linguistically diverse staff as well.
Go ahead, Member Castellanos, you had a follow-up.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that. My next, it's just a question about the inclusivity panels. What is the selection process criteria for that? And I saw that we have a mixed demographic with students, parents, stakeholders. What does that criteria look like, and what date do you see? We see 2020, 2021, but do we have an idea of when exactly we are looking to roll that out?
Yeah, we're looking to roll that out in October, and that starts first with our partner working with principals first to ground the work. I can't necessarily speak to criteria just yet. What we have for this plan is a framework, but I'm happy. I'd actually like to have the consultant come and join us at a school committee meeting and talk about the work. He has done incredible work with the principals and directors last year in our professional development, and we're really, really excited about the work ahead this year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Member Nicholson, and then Member Satterwhite, and then Member Ford.
Thank you. Thank you for that update, Dr. Tutwiler. You've done great work in leading on this issue before we had the pandemic, and had made significant progress. I think we really appreciate that. And then this is tremendous progress. Given everything that's going on, I thought that was a really great update, and really appreciate all the steps that we're taking, knowing that this is going to be, like you said, a long journey. My question was kind of along the lines of what you just mentioned. I was wondering if it might be possible for the consultant to do some kind of a version of the anti-bias, anti-racism, culture competence training for us as a school committee, in compliance with all the open meeting, whatever we would need to do, but so that we could experience that as well.
I'm sure he would be delighted. So the consultant is actually out of Chicago, and we finished our professional development with principals and directors on the Zoom platform. I'm sure he's very, very comfortable and quite skilled with it. I'm sure he would be more than willing to do that. Kim and Deb, do you agree?
Absolutely, I agree as well.
Absolutely.
Great. I would suggest that we look into that and see if we can set that up.
Great. Thank you. Member Satterwhite?
Thank you. Patrick, I just wanted to kind of string along with some of the questions that Brian asked. One of them, obviously executive and leadership positions within the district are important. So I'd like to see some diverse groups of people involved with the interview and recommendation process, outside of the bubble, because, you can get different points of views from people from different walks of life. And I think that could diversify the district even more. And then people would feel more vested than, this is who you get because we picked this individual. But these leadership and executive positions are very important, as you know. And then I spoke to a voter today who called me upset about a situation where he knew a paraprofessional who's been in the district for 4 years, and she's a woman of color. She applied for a teacher position after graduating with her master's. No response. That's an ideal candidate, the candidate that we've been talking about for the past year, of how we want to encourage and push through the people that are already in our district that have the tools and the capability of becoming a teacher so we can meet these goals that we have. Yet nothing happened. So it was troubling to hear that, because I'm like, wait, this is the ideal person that we want to use as an example. How can this happen? So obviously a principal hires the teachers within their school, but where are you getting the information to make sure that these candidates are being looked at fairly, and given credit where it's due? They work 4 years as a para. I think that's a lot for, they've obviously given a lot to the district.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not familiar with the scenario that you're talking about right now.
I'll share it with you after.
Please do. That's something that I would want to take a look at. But in response, I would say, the lion's share of the effort last year was focused specifically on the kinds of candidates that you just described. So I'm surprised about that, and definitely would like to learn more about it. And what I would say also is, just going back to your first point, who's at the table when the decision is being made and what perspectives are being solicited when the decisions are made does matter. And one of the things that we envision in our, sort of evolution of the hiring process is, a little more form and structure around interview panels, and I'm not just talking about at executive level positions, talking about at teacher level positions as well. I've shared with some folks that in Boston, you're required as a principal to have a interview committee that, if you're on the secondary level, actually has to include a student, that committee has to reflect the racial diversity of your school, and the district will not accept your proposal for hire until you can prove that, those folks were at the table. And I would say here, one of the problems that has made processes like that really hard, and I'm not blaming anyone, but the principals aren't able to hire, or have not been able to hire for decades until July, right? And so there is a scramble to get ready for the school year and filling positions. We now have a transfer period that happens in March, which allows principals and directors the opportunity to begin hiring in late March, early April, so we can A, have access to a broad pool of candidates, and B, engage in more meaningful hiring practices. So I think you can, these things the path has been set for these kinds of things to start happening.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Ford, then Member Gately.
Patrick, just a quick question. Have we been able to identify any incentive programs to entice minority candidates?
I'm not familiar with any. I mean, you can earmark funds in the district, I suppose. I'm not familiar with any whether it's a grant opportunity or anything of that nature to do that.
Weren't there some programs that allowed for debt forgiveness on student loans?
There are. Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't have any presently.
Deputy Superintendent Powers, do you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. In terms of that diversity grant, we were doing work with DESE around how to recruit minority candidates in terms of the presentation of how we advertise, where we advertise. That has begun to change, to reach out to bigger audiences around that. So, you know, in terms of the DESE grant, some of that was in-house professional development for us around how we advertise and how we recruit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Member Gately?
So Patrick, I'm like thrilled about this going forward, you know. So have we reached out to hall monitors, people of color that are working through in all of our schools that have bachelor's degrees, that consider wanting to be a teacher? Are they aware that this is happening? You know, like this grant is available to them?
So we specifically targeted people who had bachelor's degrees and invited them to participate in this, test prep process.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I will also say this, people take a lot of pride in their work, and that's one of the things that I love in this district. And we have people who are perfectly qualified to become a teacher, but really enjoy the paraprofessional role or really enjoy the monitor role and aren't interested in moving into, that shift into a teacher role. And so I just don't want to paint a picture, where folks aren't happy doing what they're doing. But certainly we've made this available to any and all who are willing and have that, goal in mind to get into the classroom and just need some help getting over the hump of the MTEL.
I just want to add that I've been really impressed with you. I have brought you to talk to someone that was a minority and she was struggling, and we had a nice talk with her before we went out on COVID-19. I don't know if you remember. We sat down, we spoke with her, and she felt much better afterwards. Mm-hmm. And I think you're very supportive, and looking forward to seeing many more minorities hired in the next year or so. Thank you.
You.
Member Capola, do you have a question or comment?
For a while now, we've been talking about interviewing, putting people together for interviewing, because sometimes I've sat on interview committees and sometimes it's, really stacked with administrators, and there's maybe no parent, at the table, or one parent at the table. And I think maybe down the road we can look at that, because Michael mentioned bringing other people in. And I think that's a good idea. So if we can keep that on the radar for when we're down the road here, that we can put it on the agenda when we don't have such busy agendas, and really put some thought into it.
Certainly.
Seeing no other questions, I think, Doctor, great presentation, great work on this, and a lot of good discussion and comment. Glad to see this moving forward, and we'll continue to work together on these issues. And thanks again for the presentation. Next on the agenda is the request for executive session. Looking for a motion from one of the members.
Make a motion.
Motion from Member Capola to go into executive session to discuss strategies with respect to collective bargaining relative to the Lynn Teachers Union Local 1037 and the Administrators Association contracts. Is there a second? There's a second. Requires a roll call.
Mr. Cassianis?
Yes.
Ms. Capola?
Yes.
Mr. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Gately?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Satterwhite?
Yes.
And Mayor McGee? Okay, yes.
So, Dr. Tutwiler, you will enter us into the executive session.
Ian.
It'll bring her back in 1 minute.
Okay.
That's what happened the last time, I
I
think.
think it happened last time.
You ready, Mary?
Hi, Nan.
Michael, is she there?
She is, but mute.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can just finish it this way, man.
You know, still looks like I'm sitting there waiting. So I don't know if it's me. I haven't had any issues before this one. Without a connection. So saying it's letting me in, or
Yeah.
Patrick, we can still hear you if you want to put it on mute. There we go.
awesome. Great.
Can I make a motion?
There's a motion on the table.
Motion to go back into regular session.
So motion to go back into regular session. Is there a second?
Second.
Requires a roll call.
Nan, you have to take mute off.
Okay,
There we go.
thank you. Mr. Satterwhite, motion to return to regular session at 8:10. Mr. Cassiano,
Yes.
Ms. Capola,
Yes.
Mr. Ford,
Yes.
Ms. Staley,
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson,
Yes.
Mr. Satterwhite,
Yes.
Mayor McGee.
Yes. Thank you. So as we discussed in executive session, appears we've come to an agreement, and we will be finalizing that agreement at next Thursday's regularly scheduled meeting, regularly scheduled school committee meeting next week. Any comments or questions related to that?
Just specifically, what did we come? What contracts are we talking about? I think we need that for the record.
Yep. John, would you like to speak to those two contracts that we've come to?
Lynn Teachers,
John Myhouse?
the Lynn Teachers, yeah. The Lynn Teachers Union contract, the Lynn Administrators contract, and the paraprofessionals contract.
Thank you, John. Any other questions from the members? Thank you, Member Satterwhite, for that. Seeing no other questions related to that?
Man, no,
Yes, John. Yes, John.
for the record, no votes taken in executive session.
For the record, no votes were taken in the executive session. Yes, thank you. There's no other business on the agenda. I'm open for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
For a second.
Second.
We will take a roll call on that, and thank you all very much.
Mr. Cassiano,
Yes.
Ms. Capola,
Yes.
Mr. Ford,
Yes.
Ms. Gately,
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson,
Yes.
Mr. Satterwhite,
Yes.
Mayor McGee.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn passed.
Thank you all very much.
Hey,
Good long weekend.
Happy Labor Day weekend.
Yep, stay safe and healthy. Thank you.